Hello, goblins and ghouls. So, today we're going to be talking about the band Ministry. Unlike some of the bands that I have talked about here, I've actually seen Ministry live back in the year 1999, where they did a show in Milwaukee with Atari Teenage Riot. And that was right around the time that the band's popularity was sort of waning, apparently. It was after the release of 1996's Filth Pig, and around the time that they put out the Dark Side of the Spoon album, which is one of those albums it has a few decent tracks, but it's not really a masterpiece or anything like that. But regarding Filth Pig, Al Jorgensen did not like that album very much, apparently, and he said that he doesn't like performing the songs live. And he distanced himself from the 1983 debut synthpop album, which he characterized as an abortion of an album. So he's often one of his own worst critics, Al Jorgensen is. In fact, his song Same Old Madness and the video to it didn't even surface until the year 2014, meaning Al Jorgensen himself must have worked to keep the track buried initially, which would not have been the easiest thing even back then, as bootlegs and leaked recordings were still a thing. To be fair, not everyone regards that album as borderline criminal or some miserable piece of work, and in any case, it can be fun to listen to their synthpop origins compared to the industrial speed metal direction that the band ultimately went in. Also, Jorgensen himself seems to have made peace with some of his synth-pop roots to some degree, and he's even recorded a few of those tracks, or I should say re-recorded some of them. So anyway, Ministry's final studio albums were supposed to have been their two cover song albums between 2008 and 2010, but Jorgensen reformed the band not long after the announced retirement. Though most people understandably focused more attention on Ministry's earlier industrial metal albums, I personally also defend the so-called Bush Trilogy albums. That would be Houses of the Mole from 2004, Rio Grande Blood from 2006, and The Last Sucker from 2007, which are all actually pretty solid albums, and honestly, I think Al Jorgensen is still occasionally putting out some quality tunes, though I personally don't like everything he's done, and neither does the man himself, as we've already established. Though Ministry likely has never had a single that debuted at number one, and they will always have a mixed critical reception, it's undeniable that they are an influential band. They're also a very tight band, especially given their reputation for drug use. In fact, when Ministry split up in the early 2000s, the hiatus was related to his recovery from substance abuse. And I do have a little bit of a personal story. I've briefly lived with somebody. I'm not going to give the full name, but her first name is Lori Ann. I lived with her for like 2 months, and she claimed that she used to be a drug dealer who sold drugs to Al Jorgensen. So I don't really know if that's actually true, but this lady was sort of a hippie chick, like an older lady hippie. But I consider her like a fake hippie because she ended up actually like booting me from the house because I lost my job. I got like laid off, and so I missed one of my rent payments. And instead of like being a cool hippie, she was like, "No, you gotta get out of here." And really, I had even had a job lined up at the time, so it's not even like I was being Mr. Lazy or whatever. But anyway, that just shows you how fake some of these self-professed hippies are. Like, they're actually not cool. But anyway, that's a little bit of a diversion. But the point is, she at least claimed that she had sold drugs to him, which may be true. I don't know. But anyway, oh yeah, I've got another story about her too. Like, um, she's a vegetarian, and I remember one time I had cooked some breakfast sausage links, right? So perfectly normal thing to make that for breakfast. And she was like, "Oh, that's so gross smelling." Yeah, like the entire house smelled like pot all the time. Not even like the good smelling pot, like the skunk weed kind of stuff a lot of the time. So honestly, can you tell me that like some sausage links smell worse than just reeking pot fumes? Like, no, you can't convince me of that. I think even some vegetarians will admit that like meat actually smells good. They might even admit that it tastes good. You know what I'm saying? But like, I don't know. But anyway, I obviously got off on a huge tangent here. So anyway, going back to when they reunited, Al Jorgensen reestablished the band after that split up. But the band nearly ended again in the year 2012 after the death of longtime guitar contributor Mike Scaccia, or is it Scaccia? It's not Scaccia. That's how it's spelled. However, the band did not go on to release new albums. Or wait, no, they did go on to release new albums. And they're on tour in 2022. But it's funny, I said the exact opposite of what I was trying to say. But you get the idea. They went on to have future albums. And they're actually apparently on tour right now, in fact. So Ministry has albums that really influenced me to like synthy kind of music. You know what I mean? I like the Land of Rape and Honey, The Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste, and Psalm 69. And they're three of the best loved Ministry albums, and they're a huge part of why they've been recognized as influential in industrial music and heavy metal music. So that's basically all I have to say about them. I went off on a few weird tangents and messed up speaking here on a few points, but anyway, let me know what you think about Ministry if you want. Yeah, that's about all I have to say about them. Have a good day.